I'm Sharon Morosky. ACU football hit the road to open its season on a national stage.
And I'm Grant Boone. When the lights went out in Georgia, the Wildcats had suffered a heartbreaking loss. We'll look back on it as we debut the Ken Collums Show for another season right now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the season debut of the Ken Collums Show for 2014. I'm Grant Boone, joined by our new co-host for this year, Sharon Nemorowski, ACU junior JMC major, and, of course, the head coach of the ACU football team, Ken Collums. We're working overtime today. We're just hours after ACU's season opener, and what a season opener it was. The Wildcats took on Georgia State at the Georgia Dome. And we are literally in the hours after that game, Coach. There are losses, and then there are really tough losses. You lose 38-37 to Georgia State Wednesday night in the Georgia Dome. And you lose to an FBS team, and that doesn't sound so bad, but the way you lost, last-second field goal, you had the lead late. I've got to believe this one stings a little bit.
Sure. We were in position to win the game. You know, we worked hard, made really good plays throughout the game, both offensively and defensively. Gave up some big plays on defense and gave up some pressures on offense, but all in all, put ourselves in a position to win the game where they had to score twice in the fourth quarter, and that's what you want. You want a team to have to go the length of the field twice to be able to beat you, and so, because you got to think offensively, you can make some first downs and maybe score another touchdown or a field goal to put it away. And we weren't able to do that, and that's what's disappointing. Some of that was them making really good plays. They made some really good plays toward the end of that game. But some of them were self-inflicted wounds by us, and that's what's disappointing. And that happens in games won all across the country, and that's what you don't want. Yeah.
All right, talking about game one, how was it opening on national television on ESPN?
Oh, it was cool. Just a different atmosphere. You know, we got cameras in our locker room. I'm looking around. These people have ESPN cameras in your face, and yeah, first thought, it's like, what are you doing in my locker room? You know, this is about us. But then then you remember, hey, this is on national TV, and we're the only show on TV as far as college football goes. And it was a great experience for our guys. And you know, Atlanta's a great place. The Georgia Dome is awesome. We stayed in a great hotel, and we had a great time, and I think we were prepared, the whole thing. I think we put on a pretty good show for the fans. If you're a fan, you probably love the game. If you're a coach for ACU, you probably, you know, you enjoyed a lot of it, but some of it, you know, it's a little bit rough. But bottom line is, both teams made plays. It's Georgia State made a couple too many plays there for us at the end.
We'll talk a little bit more about that entire experience playing on national television, playing in that NFL stadium, the Georgia Dome, a little bit later on in the show. But when we come back on the Ken Collums Show, we will recap with highlights and some analysis that 38-37 loss to Georgia State on Wednesday night. It's the Ken Collums Show. Glad you're with us. Welcome back to the Ken Collums Show. The ACU football team's first ever trip to Georgia was a memorable one. They lose to Georgia State 38-37 at the buzzer. With a look at the highlights, here's Daniel Zepeda.
The ACU Wildcats began its 2014 football season in style as it took on Georgia State in the Georgia Dome. The Wildcats took an early 3-0 lead, and the defense showed up on their first drive as safety Angel Lopez recorded his first interception of the year. New quarterback Parker McKenzie looks sharp as he connects with Cedric Gilbert for a 60-yard Wildcat touchdown. Defensive end Nick Richardson led the defensive charge and inched closer to the all-time sack record with 2 sacks against the Panthers. McKenzie showed off his arm, and DeMarcus Thompson recorded one of his 9 catches on the night to move the chains for the ACU offense. but the Panthers would have the last say as they score on a 41-yard pass from quarterback Nick Arbuckle to give GASU a 21-16 lead at the half. Wildcats would respond in a hurry in the third quarter as Jamie Walker makes the catch and runs it in for the ACU touchdown. McKenzie takes it himself and ends up drawing a spearing call on the defense, resulting in an ejection for the Georgia State defensive player. Cade Stone gets in on the action with a touchdown reception, giving ACU a 37-28 lead with 6.5 minutes left in the game. But the momentum would quickly swing to the home crowd as a Parker McKenzie interception would lead to a long return and a Georgia State score. Arbuckle found ways to escape from the ACU defense multiple times down the stretch, including the 17-yard run, bringing Georgia State into field goal range. After an impressive end-of-game drive, Georgia State would take a 38-37 lead on a field goal with just 4 seconds left in the game, securing the loss for the Wildcats.
All right, Daniel, thanks. 38-37 the final. ACU falls to Georgia State in the Georgia Dome. Coach, let's start with that very first drive. And we had talked about it before the game. For the second time in as many years, you turned the offense over to a quarterback who had never taken a meaningful snap. Last year, it was John David Baker. A very different assignment for Parker McKenzie. Unlike a team like Concordia College that John David got to start with, Parker goes up against an FBS team. Now, they're toward the bottom of the FBS, but this is still a team that's been recruiting FBS players for the last 3 years. He marches you down 14 plays, 69 yards. As it was going along, what was going through your mind?
Well, we had a plan just to get him going. You know, we believe in him as far as his ability to make decisions and protect the ball. Very first play is a play action. We throw one right over the middle. And a lot of people don't want to do that. But you know, we thought it would be there. We trust our guy. So we mixed in a lot of run, play action type passes, and there wasn't a lot of drop back pass in that. And, you know, it just proved to us, all right, this guy's throwing strikes. We're seeing it. We're seeing now what we've seen in practice for a long time.
In that opening drive, we also saw DeMarcus Thompson get involved. Now, he's really the only receiver. Cade Stone and Jace Hudson played a lot the last couple of years, but in terms of production, touchdowns, big plays, DeMarcus Thompson was the only guy you brought back in the receiving corps who had a lot of experience with your team. And all he does on national television is produce the best game of his career. He goes for 9 catches and 156 yards. He was terrific. Made some really tough catches, I thought, as well.
He sure did. Our entire receiving corps played really well.
They did.
They were pretty much where they were exactly supposed to be. They made the plays. I think we had one drop pass down the field in the fourth quarter, which we needed. But by and large, our guys played really well. And DeMarcus, he's our most explosive guy. He can win a one-on-one matchup. And last night he went up and competed and caught the ball versus several different corners. So we're very proud of him, and he's got to do that for the next 11 games.
He will. In fact, we saw that explosive nature back in 2011, his rookie year, in a playoff game on the road. He goes, what, 80 yards
That's
for
right.
a touchdown.
Yep, caught an in cut, broke a tackle, and he was off to the races.
All right, so let's go back to that first drive. Things are going well. You have a second down and goal from really inside the 3-yard line. You get a false start, and then you get a couple of missed opportunities from that point. You still come away with a 3-0 lead. What was the feeling like? Okay, we're good, we're on the board, or was it we needed 7 there?
Well, it's always you want to get the ball in the end zone.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just if you're gonna go that far, you want to be able to finish a drive. That we had 2 new guys on our left side of the line. We had a new quarterback. That was the loudest part of the stadium, and we just weren't very clean in our communication. And we had a shift on. We do that a lot in a red zone, and we just weren't clean with it. And you know, the question you ask is, well, should we be shifting that early in the game? Well, we do it all the time in practice. You got to go with what you practice, go with what you feel good with. We just that was a rookie type mistake, and you shouldn't see that anymore.
Nonetheless, a heck of a drive for Parker with all of his friends and family from Atlanta, where he's from, and you're on the board 3-0. Then they come down, and they start to get some stuff going. They get the quick wide receiver screen game going, left and right. They've got a big receiver, 19 Robert Davis, number 6'3" guy.
Yeah.
And they start going the wide receiver screen, and then as they get down the field into your territory, they go to it one more time, and I thought Tyler Chapa initially made a good play, and there was Angel Lopez to pick up a deflection.
Sure, they were trying to get their quarterback in a groove.
His first start too.
A little bit. That's right, and so they were trying to get him in a groove by doing that, and then you can't do the same thing over and over. And our guy made a good play on it. Chapa is he's very instinctive. Sometimes too much of a gambler, but. He was there where he was supposed to be, and then Angel is always around the ball. So if a ball's tipped up in the air, there's a good chance that Angel Lopez is going to be close to it. So that was a big break for us.
The next couple of possessions, you go 3 and out. You really couldn't get much going, and then they begin to find a groove. They score back-to-back touchdowns, and it's 14-3. Their crowd, which was decent, they had maybe 8,000-10,000 folks there. They get going a little bit, but then all of a sudden, you get the ball back, and from your own 40-yard line, you get what is our play of the game. Let's take a look at it. It is Parker McKenzie, his first career touchdown, and the first career touchdown reception for Cedric Gilbert. And it was a play that could have easily gone the other way.
Yep. It was in a little bit of traffic, but Cedric did a great job of staying focused on that ball, and once he caught it, he was off.
So McKenzie to Gilbert, it was the first of 4 touchdowns that Parker McKenzie threw. As the game went on, you seem to find a little bit of a rhythm. You guys take the lead 16-14. Nick Grau has a career-long 42-yard field goal. And then the final minute of the first half, you always talk about finishing each half. They finished strong, and they hit a play with what looked like was decent coverage by Keith Barnett. Their guy went up and made a catch.
Yeah, that was a coverage breakdown. One of our safeties had his eyes too far in the backfield. Keith thought he had help in the middle, which he should have, and Keith was in a good position, but if he would have known he didn't have inside help, he would have been in a better position. So that's it's a breakdown that can happen, and when you're facing good people, they're going to make you pay. They'll expose you.
Still 21-16 at halftime. You had to be feeling. We talked it on the radio broadcast. I visited with you at halftime. You still had to feel like, hey, we did some good things there.
Sure, we left points out there. The 2 drives where we kicked field goals, the reason we didn't score, one of the main reasons we didn't score touchdowns is because of penalties. We get down and we have offsides there in the first drive, and then in the second quarter we drive all the way down, and we have a personal foul, which is totally silly. But so that backed us up, and we had to kick another field goal. But I did know this, that if we got close, we were going to bang field goals through there, because Nick Grau, Hayden Brodowski, that operating system there is a high-functioning deal there. I mean, it's really, really, really good.
Third quarter, you shut them out, and you score 2 touchdowns. It's now 30-21 heading to the fourth quarter. Parker McKenzie continued, it looked like, to make good decisions.
He sure did. He had one hiccup, and that's going to happen from time to time. There are so many decisions that Parker had to make, even on our run play action stuff, to where he could give the ball, he could pull the ball, throw it, or pull the ball and run it. And you saw him do all 3, and he did really, really well, functioned at a high level in his very first start. So I'm super proud of him, and for the most part, he was accurate. He had to move around a little bit, throw strikes on the move. Our receivers in their scramble routes did really, really good. So things were very positive. He had a little hiccup there and threw an interception.
Yeah, and on that play, you're up by 9 with the ball on their side of the field. They get their best defender, number 6, Joseph Peterson. He picks up a deflection, runs it back. They score 4 plays later. Now it's a 2-point game. But you answer with a touchdown drive of your own, and Cade Stone gets his first career touchdown reception. Now you're back up 9. They come down and score again. It's a 2-point game. And then you wind up with that really tough situation, the last 2-3 minutes of the game. 4th and 1, near midfield. All they need is a field goal to beat you. You can't really go for it.
Well, and I literally walked down there and said, all right, how close are we? And it was a little bit over a yard, and I couldn't do it. We were in, because I
15 yards and they're in the field goal.
Well, because I trust our punt protection, our long snapper, and Ken Collums. I mean, those guys, I knew he could pin them inside the 10, and that's what I went with.
And he got roughed on a play, but we were called for illegal formation. He punts it again. They fair catch it. They get it at the 19-yard line. They've got a 4th and 19. It's a play that every defensive coordinator would say, I'm going to get a stop on this one. To their credit, their guy stepped up, made a play, and then they go down and they kick a field goal. As the game's ending, and you're walking out of there with a 38-37 loss, there was so much to be excited about. But it's also one where you say, we get 12 of these a year, and we let one get away.
That's right. There wasn't a whole lot of positives going on, bouncing around in my head, because I was just kind of replaying, all right, what just happened? How do we let this one slip away? And, the big things. When you misalign your punt team, that's not good. That's early day one football. And the fact that we did that, bothers me, and we've got to get that stuff cleaned up, because that's unforced errors. They didn't do anything, and they made some really good plays at the end, but also things like that. We set ourselves up for something like that to happen. But by and large, it was a great experience. I mean, to play on ESPNU, for us to be able to tell our story, for the announcers, the play-by-play people to tell our story, and for them to become a little bit more, closer to being grounded of who we are here. That's just it's a rare opportunity. So we're fired up about what took place, other than the last quarter of the game, but we had some guys that individually played really, really well, and for the most part we played hard. Effort will never be a problem with my guys. We just got to play smarter and be able to finish the game.
38-37 was the final score. ACU falls in a tough one at Georgia State. When we come back, we'll take a spin around the rest of the ACU sports world. We'll head up to the JMC Network Sports Desk. Stay with us here on the Ken Collums Show.
While ACU football was at the Georgia Dome this week, other Wildcat teams were starting their seasons back here in Abilene. For the full scoop, we'll head upstairs to the JMC Network Sports Desk.
Thanks, Shara. A new season brings fresh faces on the court, on the field, and on the coaching staffs for several ACU athletic teams. Welcome to the JMC Network Sportscast. I'm Hannah Little. The volleyball team went through some big changes over the summer as athletics hired Jason Bibler as the new head coach. Bibler replaces former head coach Kellen Mock and was the assistant volleyball coach from 2010 to 2012. Coach Bibler plans to bring his unique coaching style to the team.
Here to do it, and that helps a lot, but definitely changing the terminology, the system, how we play defense, how we run our offense, and the biggest one, even more than the system that we're running, is just the mentality and kind of our goals as a team and where we want to be, and just make.
The ACU soccer team began its season last Friday against the University of Tulsa. The Wildcats then played on Sunday against the University of Texas El Paso in Abilene for their first home game. The game took place at Shotwell Stadium because of the renovations at the home field. The team will be back in action Sunday playing against Texas Wesleyan in Fort Worth. ACU volleyball will start its season off heading to Waco this weekend to play Baylor, Portland, and Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Junior Jenny Lurch said the team has been focusing on fundamentals and team goals in preparation for the opening weekend.
We've been working really hard and spending a ton of hours in the gym and getting so many touches on the ball, which is so great, which is exactly what we need. And just working on the new systems like Jason was talking about, and the new plays and new calls and everything. It's been really good. Hard work though.
That's a wrap for this week. Thanks for watching the JMC Network Sportscast. I'm Hannah Little.
When we come back, we'll talk about our experience at the Georgia Dome. So stay with us right here on the Ken Collums Show.
Welcome back, Grant and Shara, and we welcome in Daniel Zepeda, the sports director for the Optimist and contributing editor to the Ken Collums Show. It was quite the whirlwind experience this week, wasn't it?
Oh, it was, Grant. It was a really great opportunity. Me and Cher were able to go to Atlanta with the football team. ACU Sports was generous enough to let us go with them. And the first thing that I noticed, first time being to the Georgia Dome, is just the mere size. Yeah. You walk in, and at least through my mind, I'm thinking, they don't have this in Abilene. And it was a really great opportunity. And while we were there in the Georgia Dome, me and Cher were able to take some video of what turned out to be a really unique and memorable experience.
ACU football was welcomed into the massive Georgia Dome on Wednesday, where they prepared to take on the Georgia State Panthers. Experienced Wildcats warmed up for what would be a challenging matchup, while new starting quarterback Parker McKenzie showed off his arm in what would be his first college start. Head coach Ken Collums prepared for the game and even got some time with his son in the historical venue. While the Cats warmed up inside, Georgia State went all out for the season opener, with tailgating students right outside the dome as well as a dinner. The event included cheers, music, grilling, along with some dancing. ESPN covered the team's season opener with a nationally televised broadcast. With that, the Cats are ready to play what would become a game and experience they'd never forget.
Oh, Daniel, that was really good stuff. That's a trip that I think we're going to remember for a long time. Give me a takeaway, a highlight, a big memory. Maybe start with you, Shara.
For me, walking off the plane in Atlanta, just seeing everyone out there, it was surreal. And then driving up to the Georgia Dome the day of the game, amazing. It's huge. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a couple. For me, it was probably watching the team come out of the tunnel, you know, right before the game, you know, watching all our guys in purple and white, getting ready to fight, and just, you know, take on Georgia State. And then another one for me, kind of on a more humorous note, was just the hotel. The hotel was very nice, probably one of the nicer ones I've been to, and it was really nice being able to come back after that long day of on the plane and just, you know, staying busy, to come back to a nice bed and just get some good rest right before, you know, a busy day ahead of us with the Georgia Dome.
Last thing, we were at the game, so obviously we weren't watching the telecast. Were your phones blowing up from people saying that they were either seeing you or watching the game? Yeah, what were you hearing from some of your friends?
I heard someone saw me. We were down in the end zone when Cedric made
you're a
that
star.
touchdown. Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, people said they saw me, and they actually saw my shorts, so, you know, I guess they saw the better side of me.
That's
so,
good.
You know.
Hey, just let me say this to folks watching. Great job by both of you, because we got back in the wee hours of Thursday morning and you guys went to work immediately to get this thing done. Everything about the trip was great except for that doggone final 4 seconds where they kicked that game-winning field goal. It was a memorable trip for sure. The Wildcats fall 38-37. No game today for ASU because they played Wednesday. The Wildcats are back in action next Saturday, taking on University of Northern Arizona for the home opener at Shotwell Stadium. For the coach, Ken Collums, for Daniel Zepeda, for Sharon Niemirowski, I'm Grant Boone. Thanks for watching The Ken Collums Show. We'll see you next week.